Hi, Pat Miller, Gabby Gourmet here with this week's edition of The Gabb. And I have a great guest today. Known him a long time, been through a lot with him, and he's doing great now at Brazen. Chris Sargent, introduce yourself.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And who
Yeah.
are you? And blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Christopher Sargent. I own a restaurant called Brazen in the Highlands. You and I have been friends for, I don't know, 10 years, something like that.
I don't know.
Track.
Long time.
Long time. And this is the first time we're doing it over the computer instead of the radio. I'm
And
excited.
that's true. And you showed me your hair, but I'm not sure you want to show everybody
No,
else.
yeah. It's
Is
been
that, is
5 months.
that
I haven't cut my hair in 5 months.
well, I'm sort of the old lady with the ponytail,
Oh, you're so
which
cute.
is not exactly what old ladies should have, but what happens? Corona comes and look what happens.
Yeah, right?
So tell us, or do you want to start by telling us about you or about Brazen? You want to tell us a little bit of your background first?
Yeah, in the Denver area, I worked at Rioja for about 5 years, and then we opened up Acorn in the Source building. And then after that, I branched out and opened my own restaurant. And that was 6 years ago.
Okay. And it wasn't was it Brazen then?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yep. My first solo
And
venture.
so you were working for a lot of other people as a chef, as a manager, what?
Just bartender, server. That was it. I didn't know what to expect when I moved to Denver, to be honest with you.
Where'd you come from?
I ran a company called the Light Group in Las Vegas.
I never knew that. And what is the late group?
The Light Group did everything. Bars, restaurants, nightclubs, pools. I mean, they did everything.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, and
Restaurant related.
I was just on the restaurant side of it. So, yeah, I was in Vegas for a while. I don't even know how long. A long
Hmm.
time. Yeah.
Okay. And I know you have a charming wife. Did she come with you from Vegas or did we
Well,
find her here?
she's the reason I'm in Denver. We met at a Super Bowl party up in the mountains 11 years ago, and it was kind of love at first sight for both of us. And I was gonna go back to San Diego, and she was moving from Alaska back to Vail. And
Alaska?
yeah, she was living in Alaska, and
Hmm.
then yeah, she lived in Alaska for just a couple years, and then she broke her back and all this other stuff up there. But she was like, I'm moving back. And I was like, well, I don't really love Vail. It's not really my thing. So she said, would you ever consider Denver? And I knew nothing about Colorado or, let alone Denver. And I was doing some consulting work up at Cordillera, and she was like, just give it 3 months. And if you don't like it after 3 months, we'll move to San Diego. And we moved here in February, and it was like 70 degrees after it just snowed. And I was like, is this normal? And she said, yeah. She's like, you'll get
Except for
ter-"
90 degrees in the summer of
right. She was like, you'll get
Oklahoma.
terrible weather. Right. You'll get terrible weather, but because I love wearing flip flops, and it's like, I don't like to wear socks. So I was like, all right. And, that was, like I said, about 10 years ago.
Well, you got a really good catch, I hate to tell you.
Oh, diamond in the rough. I have
Yeah,
no idea why she married me,
she
but
is.
yeah,
I'm not sure either, but she
I
is
completely
precious.
left out. Yeah.
No, you're a good guy, but she's fabulous.
She's awesome.
Okay, so now tell us about Brazen.
Well, Brazen, probably like a lot of restaurants right now, we've pivoted completely. So we used to do
You're
like,
allowed to tell the story because it's
right.
interesting.
So we used to be, we'd make, 3 or 4 house-made pastas. Of course, we'd have something like scallops and like hanger steak. And what I wanted to, Brazen's idea when I first built it and thought about it is I wanted to bring a downtown experience to a neighborhood
Okay, well,
without the.
explain where you are,
So we're at 38th and Tennyson. Again,
but
up in the
not on
mountains.
the side with all the restaurants.
Right. We're on the corner. We're in the Sprout Shopping Center, technically. So we're nestled up next to a park, which turns out that that's the only thing that's saving us right now. So, when we thought about it, we thought about, hey, let's do a casual fine dining restaurant, wine list, the whole thing, really concentrate on service because that's the one thing that I noticed when I moved to Denver that was lacking more than anything. Food was, pretty good at a lot of places, but service was pretty awful at almost every single one. So we were like, okay, we're just going to focus on that 100%. and the food will come, and people really, really enjoyed it. And you know, we branched out just like everybody else, like doing wine dinners, and we brunch and everything. And then COVID hit, and
Okay, well, explain the size of Brazen too. It's tiny.
Brazen, yeah, Brazen's only 40 seats inside, and 15 of them are either the chef's counter or the bar. So it's very, very small. I mean, it's a 1,300 square foot restaurant, and that includes the whole kitchen, the whole bar, and the bathrooms. So very, very
And
small.
it's really fun to go, but it's
Yeah,
really,
based that, really took, my experiences in Brooklyn, and, how I loved restaurants that were kind of packed and you were super close to the person next to you. And, some people want to be, left alone. I never wanted that. I wanted to feel, just energetic the entire time. And, I think we were really successful at it, to be honest with you. And
you were.
yeah,
And
we did
it
a really
was
good job.
unique in its size,
Yeah. And it was
but
different. Yeah,
terrifically just plain fun.
it
And
is fun.
I do like to be next
Yeah.
to
That's
somebody.
the one thing the other thing that I noticed about Denver, it seemed kind of like elevator music and boring. And I was just like, well, coming from Vegas, like we threw a party every night, and I wanted to, kind of bring that as well. So people seem to really like it. The music was really loud, and maybe too loud sometimes. And but like you said, it was always fun. And then COVID hits, and we had kind of an idea of what we wanted to do for a different concept, and we said maybe we should do that here now, since I already had most of that kind of already done, and I was going to send out to my investors and see if they wanted to go along with this. And when COVID hit, we completely pivoted, and people, we did, what was it? Marissa, my chef, and I, we worked 71 days in a row. We had to let everybody go. We let everybody go before Polis closed everything down. Actually, we let everybody go because it was the middle of the month, and I was like, and the week before, COVID just decimated. Like I think we were down 70 or 80%. And I just got back from Mexico, and I was like, whoa, what is going on? And COVID started to get a little more traction. I was like, if this is going to be a real thing, then we need to let our staff try to collect unemployment, um, because in 2 weeks their rent's due or their mortgages due.
Right.
So Chris and I, we spent all day Sunday. We're like, what should we do? What should we do? What should we do? And I was like, I don't want to be rude to them, but at the same token, if they're not going to make any money, they probably can make more money right now off of unemployment. So we called everybody and we're like, hey, this is what we're going to do. If it switches, you guys are all coming back, like no problem. And Polis that afternoon was like, hey, we're shutting all restaurants down. So hopefully, our staff got a little bit of a head start to get unemployment. And then, so we knew that we weren't going to be able to sell steaks anymore and scallops and all that stuff. So we made like
So
grocery
you
bags.
did carry out.
Yeah. But so we had this whole inventory though, we had this whole inventory of the menu that we used to execute. So we called every server that we had up and every back of the house person. We're like, listen, here's, because remember, like toilet paper, no one could get toilet
Right.
paper and stuff like that. So we had tons of all of that stuff. So we were like, here's disinfectant, here's toilet paper, here's groceries, hopefully this will help at least, for a couple days, to at least, because it was a whirlwind for everybody. So then Marissa, my chef, and I sat down, and I was like, hey, we got to figure something out. What do you want to do? And we did to-go food, and we did bowls for a little while. And then, we did everything. We were doing like kind of Chipotle-esque things for a little bit. And she and I worked 71 days in a row to keep Brazen open. And it slowly picked up. And then, cocktail service, doing cocktails to go.
Helps.
We were doing 32-ounce pitchers to go. And Carissa, my wife, was like, good Lord, you're putting so much alcohol in them. I was like, everyone's like, no one's
Take it.
happy right now. Right. Like,
There's nothing, you don't have to worry
right.
about driving home.
Yeah. So I was like, we might as well, at least like let them have some fun. And that's kind of what we do at Brazen, right? Like we just think outside the box. And so everyone, they loved us on one level and they hated us the next night or the next morning with their
Yeah.
hangovers. But no,
We all drink more. Yeah.
yeah, without question. But the to-go food was we killed it. We did a really, really good job. And Carissa actually started doing nurse lunches, I think almost before anybody else. And she was
Okay.
like, listen, yeah. She was like, I'll match. Anybody that donates, I'll match. So I think in the first like week, we got like something like $1,500 in donations. And so Carissa was like, here's $1,500. Have a great day. So we had $3,000 the first week to start sending out food, and we were doing,
Good for you.
100 to 500, lunches. We're like, here you go, here you go, here you go. And then we partnered with Frontline to make it a little more streamlined. And, hopefully, these people that are in the hospitals working, on their feet all day long, in a super dangerous situation. And, hopefully they got some real food. So,
Oh, absolutely. I think
yeah,
you all were saviors.
yeah.
Okay, now, are you still doing carry out?
No, so one of our, actually, I was hanging out with her last night. One of our best friends is a, how do you want to say? She's like a director at a hospital. And she was like, I mean, she's the one that called us, months ago and was like, hey, we appreciate all the food, but we don't have anybody in the hospital anymore. You know what I mean? Like there was that big surge and then it all died out. So she was like, can you send it to like firemen or police officers or whatever the case may be? So we talked to Frontline about it. And we're like, hey, can we pivot, and send it to somebody else? And that discussion kind of fizzled out. They never really got back to us. And we're just like, all right, well, here we go. And then we partnered with Tito's for a couple industry dinners where completely free. Tito's picked up the check, which was
Mm.
awesome. So yeah, we didn't really do that anymore, and then we completely pivoted to the menu that we have now.
Okay, so I can't call and get carry out.
No, you can 100%. We still
Oh,
do
that's
bacon.
what you meant, then I
Oh
misunderstood.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, I thought you meant with the nurses and stuff. No,
No,
100% to go. We still offer it, and we'll probably have to go back to that, in October and
shortly,
November.
yeah. But any which way, I think that, and I hate to use the word normal because there's no normal,
Sure.
but I think carry out is going to become part of every
Yeah,
restaurant from now on.
I think it has to be. I think people.
New normal.
Yeah, I understand. If you have a really big restaurant, that's 3,000 square feet, you have enough room to seat people. We don't,
Right.
and until I'm not going to
Except
guess.
some of the rule is you can only have 50 people anyway.
Is that, yeah? I don't even know. Like we
I
haven't
don't know.
allowed anybody in the restaurant at all this entire
Right.
time. I don't want the staff to get sick. It's hard enough laying them all off.
Right. I think you and a couple of other small places are doing that. And I think it's wonderful. I
Yeah,
mean, the only thing I know in one restaurant is if you have to go to the bathroom.
yeah. We totally allow. Yeah, you have to wear your mask, and by all means, please use the facilities.
Yeah, but that's
Um,
it.
Yeah, so we've been very fortunate because we have a pretty big patio. It doubles the size of the restaurant, and
Oh,
then
your
we have,
patios.
right, and then we have the park that's nestled up to it. So we bought a ton of Adirondack chairs and just laid them out throughout the park so people,
And
have
now see,
plenty of distance. What's
okay,
that?
I did go, obviously, you
Yeah,
know
you were there
that.
last week.
And I had the best time because I loved being in a park
Right.
so far away from different people, but still seeing people.
You were probably 10 feet in every direction away from somebody, if
Oh,
not
yeah, there
further.
was nobody near me.
Right.
But
And
I thought, I'm like on a picnic in the park.
yeah,
I
you're
mean,
outside. Yeah, you're just not in your house, whatever excuse you can get out of
well,
the
I
house.
want to hear the menu, but before you do, you have to talk about what else you're doing with the flag because I think that's really cool.
So my mom is in her fifth year of remission for breast cancer. So she's pretty much in the clear, but she's taking it very seriously because one of the big things that everyone's talking about is if you have an underlying condition,
Right.
you're really susceptible.
And
So
that's true.
when she was out here watching my nephew who was a newborn, she was like, I really don't want to go out anywhere, and she came over and we showed her everything, and the idea was like, okay, let's pretend that everybody has an underlying condition. So let's make this as safe as possible.
Right.
So what we did is the biggest thing that what we studied or what we could find out is the more contact you have with somebody that has it, the better chance, obviously, that you'll get it. So
Inside or out, even.
right. So we were like, definitely not letting anybody inside. Let's start there. Number two, and if it rains, like it rained, I think I don't even know what today's Friday. It rained on Wednesday. We were super slow. You're going to take the good with the bad. So we were like, all right, how do we minimize contact as much as possible? And then, so we were like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have everyone order up at the counter. It doesn't even have to be the full order. It could just be, we want to start off with a drink, whatever the case may be. But they can distance themselves how far away they want to be from that counter, that person taking the order from the counter. So we were like, okay, that's a good idea. And then if you need anything, we bought these American flags and we did mason jars with sand in them, and you just throw up the flag. We'll see it and we'll come over, and again, we'll keep our distance, but it just minimizes if I'm asymptomatic but I still have it. and you and I are talking, you know, and I keep coming over and checking, like, is everything prepared well? Do you need something else? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, we were out, like I said, I was hanging out with the director last night. I bet you our server came over to us, 15, 20 times. You know,
Oh
we were
no,
there for
when I saw that, I said, what's the flag?
yeah.
And
So,
I thought it was really a great way that I could get service.
right.
Nobody
Only
was
when you need
bothering
something,
me.
right. So there's
And
no more
you don't
guessing.
have, yeah, and you don't have a limit. I have to be out of there in that hours.
Yeah, we got a review when we first opened, and they were like, "Why aren't you kicking people out after 2 hours?" And I was like, "Because I have no idea what their day's like. I don't know what their life is like. Maybe this is the first time they've been able to socialize or whatever, and I'm not going to take that from them. Everyone's just going to have to be patient. And the guy got really, really mad and gave us a 1-star review, and I was just like, well, I don't know what else to tell you, sir. So,
Right.
but
But
yeah,
now,
what's up?
tell me about the menu.
So the other issue that we had is like, okay, we wanted to make it to go friendly. So we were like, okay, steaks are gone. Pastas, there's other restaurants doing pastas. So you know what? We're not going to do that. And we're like, what isn't anybody doing up here that we could kind of do? And some of our signature dishes is jerk chicken. And then this lamb shawarma was a concept that I've told you about for a really long time. So we were like, all right, let's roast meats, and then we'll offer them, by a half pound or a pound or in a sandwich. So if you have, it becomes a little more kid friendly. Also, it becomes like you don't have to go out. The other thing we thought about is if you're cooped up all day and you're working from home and your kids are home and all of this, like the last thing you really want to deal with is like high end fare, or that's what I thought anyway. So we wanted to make
That's
it,
how I just want real good food.
yeah. So we wanted to make
That's,
it simple so that you didn't have to think about it and be like, oh, I need it medium rare. But we try to alleviate all of that. So we just did a bunch of appetizers. We kind of did all of our greatest hits that people were like, oh, you're bringing this back, and we're like, yeah, try to keep it simple. And then we offered the meats by the pound and half pound, and then in a sandwich form. And then we did a bunch of.
sandwiches are fabulous.
Thank you. And then we offered sides, so you could have like, hey, let's just have a couple appetizers and a glass of wine, or hey, let's have a real meal. Let's get a pound of whatever and two sides, and we thought that would just work the best, to give that neighborhood as much flexibility as possible, and people seem to really like it.
Making
So
me very hungry.
good. That's the idea.
I
So
can't get to you, but I'm very hungry.
well, yeah. I mean, I can
Your
always.
sandwiches, you do them on like a pita bread?
Yeah, so we partnered with gluten-free things out in Arvada.
Yeah, it is.
Right? I think he's Arvada. He might be I don't know what that is technically. But he's a complete gluten-free facility. One of our best friends is celiac, and we used to put breadcrumbs in our meatballs, and he was always upset that he could never try the meatballs, but everybody else when they came out to dinner could. So we were like, all right, you know what? We're gonna figure this out. So we just added more cheese to be the binding agent, and they turned out to be even better.
Of course
And
you
now
do.
they're completely, they're completely gluten free. So we wanted to keep that going, and we try to do our own gluten free naan, and we were so busy that we couldn't keep up with that because it was just a couple of us. So we reached out, we did some research, and you know, we partnered with them, and it's turned out to be a really good. Everyone
Well,
seems to really
a
like it.
lot of those sandwiches come out that the bread is either so hard that you can't eat it
Right.
or just isn't. And we debated whether to, I mean, I'm sorry we didn't get 10 sandwiches, the lamb sandwich or the veggie. And we decided we're going to try the veggie. And it was outrageous. And the
Good.
bread was great with it.
Yeah. So
And
yeah, and that's the funny thing. John actually ate the owner of the gluten free. He ate with us a couple weeks ago. It was like, I
lucky
love the.
you,
What's that?
I said, lucky you.
Yeah, but he gave us a really great compliment. He's like, you made my pitas even better because we
You did
drizzle.
because I have tasted his
Yeah.
pizzas.
So we drizzle them with a little bit of oil, hit it with salt, and then throw it on a flat top and caramelize it. That's the idea, to bring some flavor.
It does not taste like most of them.
It doesn't at all.
No.
It's actually really enjoyable. So and it's a process. We didn't know what we were doing initially. We were just kind of like, all right, we're gonna try to figure this
It
out.
sounds like you. I'll just
Yeah,
do it.
100%. That's why it's named Brazen, right?
And
So
and your poke bowl is
yeah, we brought that back. We were a little worried that if people, because the other thing is for us to get food and to get alcohol and all of that, you know, Polis only gave us like a 48-hour notice. So everybody and their mother was like, hey, I need a case of tequila, I need a case of vodka. So it was hard to get everything, for the first couple of weeks. And we were like, calling our purveyors and like, hey, can I get, grade 1 tuna? Do you guys even carrying that right now? So Northeast was super sweet. And they're like, listen, how busy do you think you're gonna be? And I was like, I don't know, probably 20, 30 pounds a week minimum. And he was like, really? And I said, yeah. And he was like, all right, then I'll
Oh,
bring
but
it.
that's one of your big sellers because
Yeah.
it's
We didn't,
fabulous.
right. But we didn't know, like, would people want this to go? You know what I mean? So,
That's true.
and then all of a sudden that was our number one seller, to your point. And I think we're doing like 40 or 50 pounds of tuna a week. So, but they were super sweet, to kind of, all right, here we go. Same with the burrata. We used to make the burrata, but then we found a better product and they didn't have it coming in for a little while. We couldn't get it.
I
It
love
was like, listen, I can't just bring in like one case. Like we have to bring in a whole pallet. And I was like, I can guarantee you that we'll take 7 to 10 cases a week. And he was like, really? And I said, yeah. And first week, I think we did 12 cases.
Okay,
You
so
know,
now you're just doing dinner. You're not doing brunch or you're not doing
we try
coffee.
to do brunch, and it just,
That's okay.
everybody, we would get some people and they loved it, right? Because we were actually doing some of the sandwiches with eggs, and people were just like losing their mind of how good it was. But it was only like 20 or 30 people. So my chef and I were like, I don't know,
Not worth
how
it.
much. What's that?
It's not worth it then.
It's not worth. Yeah, it was taking up too much. Like we're not a big restaurant, so we have a very small walk-in. And brunch takes up a whole shelf, which we need, especially if we're doing these huge. We're bringing in I don't know 100 pounds of chicken at a time and marinating it. I mean, think about 100 pounds of chicken.
Where
Like
are you going to
it
put
takes up a
100
lot of
pounds
room.
of
Yeah.
sugar?
So it's funny because now everybody wants us to have brunch, and I just can't do it. Like,
Well, you did have a good brunch,
yeah,
but you
we
know
tried to.
what?
Yeah.
Someday.
And you know what? We're busier than ever. The staff seems happier
You
than ever.
open every night?
We're open, yeah, 7 nights a week. Um,
Do you take
you know,
reservations?
yeah, we still use Open Table, and what we do is, we tell everybody that the reservations are just, it's a guideline. You know what I mean? Like when we first opened, no, I didn't realize that we were gonna have 300 people show up on our first night. Like that was just insane, and we just weren't ready for it.
No.
So they're like, people, oh, we have reservations and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, you know what? So we went on Open Table and we said, this is more of just like, you're letting us know you're coming. We're going to reserve some tables to make sure you have a table. But one of the things that we offer is that you can choose whatever table you want. We try to like seat people on the first couple days and it just was awful. People are like, well, I want to be over here and I want to do over here. The rest, the patio is twice as big as the restaurant. And then you add the park onto it. I mean, it's just enormous. So, you know, I was just like, okay, you know what, we're not going to do that. So we just bought reserve signs and we said, hey, let's just be cognizant that we have a six stop coming or a fourth, whatever it is, and just make sure that we have that reserved. And then we just bought some extra chairs just to make sure that we were completely covered, and we haven't had an issue since. So,
Okay, now if you get carry out, you
yeah.
have to come get it.
Well, no. So you have a couple choices. So you can come
Okay.
inside and pick it up if you like.
Yeah.
But if you want to stay in we have quite a few people actually that stay in their car and we bring
Okay.
it to them. They open up their trunk, we throw it in the back. So again, very little, exposure to each other, and we shut it and they're off and running. We
Good.
still do the bottles to go. That frankly, that saved us until we could open the patio. I mean,
Oh
I
no,
can't tell
I
you,
think that did for
yeah,
every.
we sold so much booze, so
Yeah,
much. Um,
I
you know,
understand. And
right.
people, even if it was somewhat cheaper at a liquor store, somewhat, it's easier just to do it this
Well,
way.
yeah, the cocktails are already made, right? And
Right.
again, we figured it out one day. I think, and again, I'm pretty sure my math's right, but the margaritas are 80% alcohol. Like, I mean, they're gonna put you on your butt. Like that's just how you have to be really careful with them. So, we're unapologetic about that because again, if you're gonna drink, like, what's the point of having 10 drinks? Just have two that really do the job. And
Just
um,
get rid of her fast.
yeah.
Okay, but hopefully people are doing this and not using a delivery service.
So yeah, Grubhub and or DoorDash, whoever
They
it was,
they
they
just
wanted.
take too much of your money.
Well, they do. And the other thing is that we thought about partnering with them before COVID. We actually were talking with them, and COVID hit, and they were like, okay, we're going to take 27% of your
Yeah,
sales. And I was
I
like,
mean,
no, you're
okay,
not.
my problem is I don't get out to even pick up that often.
Sure.
And I will not use them. I just feel it's not fair to the restaurant
Yeah, I
to
mean, and
have
this is
them
a huge
lose
volume,
money.
right? And then the other thing is you then have to raise your prices to accommodate that. And now
Absurd.
one of the things I already think Denver's a little, too expensive to begin with. I think people, take a little too much liberty already with that. So what we're going to do, or what we're thinking about doing, is in October, November, and the cold months, to try to keep staff on. We're thinking about keeping them on as delivery drivers, and then that way we can offer delivery, keep some of our staff still employed, and hopefully bring us service.
You want to
So
practice today?
what's yeah, I mean, if you're hungry, I'll bring you food. You know I will.
I'll let you practice.
Yeah, 100%. So
I love it. I mean, I'm talking to you seriously and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm starving. But
yeah, I
I
mean, we
mean,
open.
it's just, you do a great job. Now we're really running out of time. So give your address, phone number, web page, whatever the particulars are.
So it's brazendenver.com, 4450 West 38th Avenue. It's very
Okay,
hard.
and when you're driving down Tennyson,
Yeah,
well, there's a dental thing
we
on.
are next to Dental Comfort. Yes, we
Well,
are.
that's how I tell everybody to find it.
Yeah, we are.
It's just
And
the easiest way.
right, you can't find us. That's always been our issue. So we're definitely a hole in the wall.
Okay.
Um, Telephone number is 720-638-1242. Yeah,
And
I
you're
think
open every night.
every night 4 to 9. People are like, why aren't you open to 10? There's no
Do
need
you
to be.
have an order out section, or do you just call?
So we have so if you go on brazendenver.com, the app will show you the whole menu, and then you can just order from your phone or your computer, and it
Okay.
goes directly to our kitchen,
Okay.
and it tells us that it's to go, and then we get it all ready for you.
Okay. That's what
Um,
I wanted to be sure.
yeah, and we're thinking about, I don't know. Well, we have some other ideas as well, but who knows what's going to happen
It's
in a month.
another show
It is, and we're gonna,
for another day.
and it's how can you keep as many people employed is really
I
more
agree.
is the biggest thing that we're worried about. I'm not worried, like if we fail, we fail. I'm not worried
No,
about that.
and the reason I love doing the Gabb interviews is people can see you, know about what's going on, and it keeps your employees employed,
Yeah,
but it also lets the world know that in
yeah,
these times people are doing great things.
we're trying, and every
Oh, Brazen, it was fabulous.
thank you. And so
So
yeah, so if you have any ideas, I'm all ears to try to keep as many people, because I don't know how much, I don't know how many unemployment benefits, how long that's going to last. So we got to try to keep it.
excuse me, I know nothing.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't think anybody does.
Yeah, I know it
Right
comes.
now.
Yeah, I know it comes out of the FEMA fund, but
Well,
I don't know how much that is. So
we'll see what happens.
yeah,
Everybody will vote. We'll see what happens, and we'll
oh,
see
that's
what
gonna be
happens to
another.
the
Yeah,
world. And hopefully they'll get a vaccine.
yeah. Hopefully everyone
And
gets.
in the meantime, we'll get a flu shot.
Yeah, right. Done and done.
Just have a great weekend. Love you dearly.
I love
And
you.
Brazen is absolutely incredible. And
Thank you.
I
I
can
appreciate
hardly wait to come back.
it. You really want to
Love
go for
you.
it today?
No, I won't do that to you. Much
Okay.
love, but I would.
Oh,
Thank you all for listening, and thank you for being part of the Gabb, and hope to see you soon. Be
all right.
well. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, love.